Apex Legends weapons. I did a previous Apex Legends tier list a while back. There's plenty of new Legends out since then, but you can feel free to go check that out. But let us figure out what we want to do with all of these weapons, or we should place them. Personally, not a huge fan of the crossbow. Oh, I guess it's a bow and arrow. Same difference, right? It's just way too inconsistent. I don't think it does a whole lot of damage. I think you're still better off 90% of the time using a weapon. If you don't have a sniper, don't want to run one, and you need a longer distance weapon, then yeah, sure, but still, you're still better off using some other weapons, in my opinion. Like the R301, which I think has forever and always will be an S tier gun. I think it's just good at pretty much any distance in the whole game. Can definitely keep up close range. Definitely one of the best medium range weapons, and can still do some work longer distance. Not the best longer distance, but still can hold its own at a distance. And obviously the accuracy is amazing, and light ammo is arguably the easiest to find in the game as well, so definitely helpful there. The wingman, I think the wingman is A. I think it has had a whole lot of ups and downs throughout its entire life. It was definitely OP in the beginning. Definitely got nerfed to the ground a little bit, and then now I think it's a lot more balanced. I still think it's a strong weapon. More better early game, or with the right attachments and everything. But still, I think it deserves at least an A tier, minimum B tier for sure. I think it still can be out damaged by certain weapons. You definitely have to hit your shots, but I think it is still worth the pickup for sure. The Prowler I have to put in A as well. I've always enjoyed it, even as a burst SMG. It always felt pretty good to me. Definitely felt very, very powerful with the full auto attachment. Heavy ammo, again, very easy to find. I think it can keep up in any close to medium range against a lot of other weapons for sure. But definitely gets carried by the full auto attachment. And if you don't have that, then it's definitely a lot lower than A tier for sure. L-Star for me is B. I think it has huge potential, especially early game. And if you somehow have a shit ton of energy ammo, then it is definitely a solid choice. Again, especially early game. After the early game, it really falls off to me. It really just doesn't do what a LMG should, in my opinion, compared to these other LMGs that to me are much better. But it's not the worst. Again, very early game specific. After that, I would say it's probably C. Can definitely be out damaged, but it is still solid. And if you have a shit ton of energy ammo and not really a different energy weapon, or don't want to run one, it's not a bad choice at any time. It's just it can definitely be outclassed by a lot of other things. That's just my opinion, though. The Peacekeeper and the Mastiff I have to kind of just put together in both A tier. The reason I can't really move them either way is because everybody knows you're either going to hit like 120 headshot or you're going to hit a 9 to the body. Super inconsistent for both. Different attachments and shit, but overall they are very solid shotguns. Just the consistency definitely hurts them, but we have all just absolutely obliterated and or been obliterated by both of these shotguns at a time, and we have all also won fights because they're hitting us for 8 or 9, 11, and we've all also lost points, lost fights for that as well. So still very good, just not the most consistent. Alternator, honestly, I have to give Alternator A. I think Alternator is so underrated. I think it is a pretty solid choice, especially early game for close and medium range fights. There was obviously that season way back when where they had the what the fuck were those rounds called? Like they weren't called electric rounds, but that's just what I want to call them. That was definitely alternator heavy way back then. Now, obviously, I don't have those anymore, but still, I think alternator is pretty underrated. In my opinion, it's definitely very, very good. Can definitely be useful if you need a second gun that's medium close range. And again, early game, it's definitely a very solid choice. The charge rifle, I have to put in C as well. I think the consistency is just not there. If you hit your shot, great. You're definitely going to destroy that person's health. But to get that on a consistent level, even if you're a good player, is difficult with how fast Apex is. And other than that, you're really just not going to do much damage with it unless you're hitting the actual, like, full charge. So definitely just not there. The P2020, I'll give to C only because of some of the attachments that have been in previous seasons. Not sure if they're even in this season coming, where it's the armor piercing and shit. But obviously, a pistol in this game is just not going to be good unless it's, you know, fully automatic Glock, wingman, Mozambique kind of pistol, but you know how it is. Since we're talking about it, I'm having a hard time remembering this. We'll just call it the Glock. I know it's not the Glock. I'll put it in B. I think it's just kind of a budget pistol SMG. I cannot remember the name for some reason. It's my bad. But it just, yeah, nothing too good or bad to say about it. It's just kind of the in-between budget type weapon. Just kind of depends on attachments as well if you end up getting them. M60, I gotta put into S tier. I think it was better with heavy ammo, but I still think that it is a S tier gun. I think with how much damage you have to do in Apex Legends to knock somebody, that LMG is definitely a solid choice. And finding all of the attachments and ammo for it is pretty easy considering. But yeah, I don't have anything bad to say about the M60. I think it's just solid overall. The only thing bad about it is reload time, which should be for LMG, so you can't really talk bad about it in that regard. The flatline I also have to put an S. I think flatline's a little underrated in my opinion. I feel like it has been good for quite a while, and there's not really a downside to using it. I think it can be a little bit outgunned speed-wise, closer range to medium, depending on what the other person is running. But damage-wise, it's definitely there, so it kind of just depends on accuracy at that point. But still, flatline is a very, very solid choice to me anyway. The L car, I have to put an S as well. The biggest reason it is an S is because it can take both ammo types. I think that makes it a fantastic choice because if you're not finding one ammo type, you got the other, you're good. And it's still a pretty solid gun overall. It's definitely a solid SMG. SMG wise, I wouldn't necessarily take it over the alternator or the R99. Possibly the Volt, but it's it's a solid choice overall, mostly because of both ammo types, but still a solid gun. R99, the only reason it is an A is because if you do not hit your bullets, you're out of ammo instantly. Your clip basically ends as soon as you start. It can absolutely shred someone. I know everybody's going to be saying this should be S tier, but that is the only reason why it's not. And yes, that's definitely dependent on the player for you to do that, be accurate. But in the movement of Apex Legends, sometimes they're not standing still long enough or not moving fast enough for you to essentially unload your whole clip and shred them. And again, as within a second or two of you touching the trigger, you're out of ammo reloading. So you just have to. I've never enjoyed the R99 very much. That's just me. But I do know that it is a great gun. The Volt being down here, to me, it's never done enough damage. It is also obviously SMG, so it shouldn't do crazy damage, but another reason why it's kind of here is just because of the energy ammo. I feel like energy ammo is the least consistent findable ammo in the game still. And even if you do find it, it's not in bunches like light and heavy is. But the gun itself, definitely not that bad. Probably could go to A, but overall I think it's just kind of a B mid-tier weapon. Same with the repeater. I just don't think it's ever been too great. It's nice that you can halfway snipe with it, but also do some like close to mid-range gunfights with it as well, and not have it be a sniper, much like Ash in Overwatch 2 or Overwatch originally. So that's great. I just think that it is, I don't know, the consistency for me as far as damage output and reliability, and especially in comparison to other weapons that are similar or like it, is just not there. Definitely why it's B tier is just mostly the inconsistency. The Mozambique, honestly, A tier, underrated. If you have the right attachments. Now, if you don't have any attachments for it, it's not that great, not going to lie to you, but it's also very easy to hit somebody with a Mozambique compared to some of the other shotguns, in my opinion. I've always honestly enjoyed it. I think it was shit on for a long time, and then they buffed it, added some attachments, and now it was amazing for a really long time, especially with those armor shredding ones. Or I think it was health, actually. You know, you'd destroy their shield and then pull out that Mozambique and blast them, and honestly, it's fun as hell. I really enjoyed it. Since we're on shotguns, the EVA 8. Honestly, the EVA 8 is just kind of B. There's times where it feels like it's A, but overall it's just, in comparison to other shotguns, it's just not really there. You're talking about a full auto shotgun that's never really felt that fast and damaging consistently in comparison to other shotguns, in comparison to other fast rate of fire weapons, close range weapons. It's just kind of not really there. Sure, there's definitely some times where you just full auto somebody down to the ground for sure, but overall it's just not as good as a lot of the other weapons that are similar to it in Apex. The G7, I'll put into A2. I think it can hold its own kind of close range. Medium range, I think it's definitely where it shines. Very good, very damaging, depending on attachments as well. Long range, not as successful compared to snipers and stuff, but definitely a solid DMR choice, solid to get ammo and attachments for it. It can hold its own at pretty much any range fight, so it's good. I just think that there are consistently guns at every range that are better than it. But nothing too bad to say about it, really. Oh, let's see. The Sentinel. Honestly, the Sentinel to me is at C tier. It is the worst sniper, in my opinion. It is so inconsistent. The bullet drop is awkward. The damage to hit somebody is good, but to actually get that hit is not as great. To make it great, you have to use shields, which you don't always have. It's never been good to me. I've never been scared of it in game when people are shooting at me with it, and using it, I've never enjoyed it or wanted to use it, in my opinion. I wanted to try it when it was new, realized it's pretty shit to me. The Havoc. The Havoc I gotta give to B. It's just outgunned by so many things when it kind of just shouldn't be. Especially if you have the full auto from back in the day, then it's great. But still, even with that attachment, I would say it's A tier. I think it can still be outgunned by so many other things. It's never felt like necessarily a good weapon as far as winning fights. Most people, including myself, would take a lot of these other weapons above it rather than the Havoc. And also, again, with the energy ammo situation, still is just not really there. Not to me, anyway. The Hemlock. The Hemlock I'll give to A, mostly because it can be a budget just about anything. The Burst definitely makes it decent, close to medium range. Single fire makes it good for medium longer range. Overall decent gun. Again, I think it's like the G7 where it just there's guns that are better at all ranges than it. But nothing super bad to say about it. It just not the greatest gun. Triple take. The triple take I have to give to A as well. It's just not as good of a sniper as some of the other ones. I think it's definitely a very good weapon, can definitely destroy some people's armor, can definitely down people. It's a solid sniper, but in other snipers like the longbow, which definitely deserves an A tier, the Kraber definitely deserves an S, always has been, but all these are definitely secondary weapons as far as you're going to be using a lot of other shit. A lot of your fights are not going to be sniper distance, not usually, and even if they are, that's usually how you go into getting close range fights, or they're coming in, or it's like last zone and you're trying to hold a spot or something. But overall, triple take is good. So is the longbow, especially with certain weapons and stuff. Longbow's always felt good to me. Definitely one of my favorite sniper in my opinion. The Kraber, the only reason why it's S tier, for the longest time it was obviously a care package gold gun. They've switched it up now. I don't know if it's back or not. They switch it every single season, what's going in and out and whatnot. But it's always been good, very high damage, not a whole lot of ammo and stuff, but still, it's always pretty much the worst you could put it is A tier, but I think it deserves S. Yeah, just super high damage sniper rifle, obviously. And for some reason, I know it's not the L-Star. I forget what the hell this LMG is called. The Devotion. Devotion definitely deserves A tier as well. The new LMG, I've never played this one, but I'm imagining that it's A tier because it's LMG. But the Devotion definitely deserves A tier as well. Biggest thing that keeps it down is attachments and being an energy weapon for me, but it's still a very, very good weapon. LMGs definitely shred, especially back in the day when this had the full auto attachment. If you had that, you're definitely running the Devotion and definitely shredding people because it is very, very strong. Not a bad weapon at all, but this is where I would place all of the current guns in Apex Legends. Please let me know what you guys think. Don't forget, like, subscribe, check out my other tier lists of other games, even Apex as well. And we will see you guys in the next one.